चक्रवर्तेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we'll continue our discussion on the second text of the Nectar of Instruction. Today we'll try to discuss about the next two principles mentioned in text 2. That is Prajalpo and Niyamagraha. So Srila Rupa Goswami, bro, is my voice audible? My internet is fluctuating here. Can you hear me clearly? Okay. So we all know this pastime of Sri Rupa Goswami when he was accompanying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during one of the Rath Yatras. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in great ecstasy, and in that great ecstasy, he sang some verses which appeared like some movie song of some lover calling his beloved, like we hear in some mundane movies. So actually, it is said that no one apart from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Rupa Goswami, and maybe some more internal associates would have understood the actual meaning, internal meaning of what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying. Externally, it appeared like some prajalpa that he was doing, but Srila Rupa Goswami understood the inner meaning of the so-called mundane song that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing. And later, when Rupa Goswami went back to his cottage, he wrote down some verses explaining what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had just sung in his ecstasy in Rath Yatra. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited him, he found these verses when Rupa Goswami had gone to take bath. He read them and he was so happy. And when he came back, Rupa Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu slapped him very lovingly. And he said, "How is it that you understood my heart? And you have composed such a nice poetry in connection to what I had told." So, Sri Rupa Goswami, he was very, very expert uh, and very, uh, we would say, very deep. That even in so-called something which appeared like some prajalpa, he found it was how it was a very special, elevated uh, conversation or speech. Mm. And we can also see Srila Prabhupada how he, this world which is filled so much with mundane talk, so much atheistic talk. Srila Prabhupada, he filled this world with continuous chanting of the holy names. He filled this world with so much spiritual transcendental vibration. They said, Srila Satsarup Maharaj, he says how Prabhupada's life was actually Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Since morning till night, what he was doing is constant service to Srimad Bhagavatam, because he was constantly reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Uh, very late in the night when he would wake up, whole night he was translating Srimad Bhagavatam. Afterwards, he would go out for morning walk. There also he would speak many concepts from Srimad Bhagavatam. Or he would be chanting the holy names, which is essence of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he would return to the temple and then give Bhagavatam class. After the Bhagavatam class, he would meet some guests to whom also he would preach. And we see time and again he would quote verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and other Vedic literatures. And again in the afternoon, he was replying to the emails, the letters of the disciples. He was actually writing so many verses and concepts from literatures, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. And evening he had some preaching programs like that. So we can see Prabhupada also how he was fully following these principles, no doing any mundane talk, constantly engaged in Krishna Katha. And even sometimes when Prabhupada criticized or appeared something like some material talk, there was very deep significance behind that. That also we'll try to study today. So, with the blessings of Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada, we will try to begin our study today uh, with the hope and prayer that we can apply these principles in our life that they have taught us so nicely in these books. So, I'll share my screen and recite the verse again, and then I'll move to further discussion. Can you repeat? अत्याहारः प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रहः जनसङ्गश्च लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in following six activities. First, eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. Second, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. Third, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. Fourth, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. Fifth, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And sixth, being greedy for mundane achievements. So, last time we discussed how Srila Prabhupada is teaching us these principles uh, which are so vital for simple living and high thinking, which is actually the goal of human form of life. Thinking of the highest reality, Krishna, and that becomes very easy when our living is very simple. And how to keep our living simple? By following these principles which are mentioned here. If we avoid these six faults, then it will become easy for us to live simply. And it will give us sufficient time, it will give us sufficient energy, sufficient consciousness to think of the highest reality, Krishna. And that is how we will get transferred from Bahiranga Shakti to Antaranga Shakti. Because we are Tathastha Shakti, marginal potency, we always have to take shelter of one of the two potencies, either the internal potency or the external potency. So to the degree we are in this uh, complicated material life and not getting time for high thinking, to that degree, we will get caught up in the external potency. And what is the problem in staying with the external potency? We will be troubled by these kleshas, Adi Daivik Klesh, Adi Bhautik Klesh, Adi Atmik Klesh, and also the faults of birth, old age, disease, death. So these sufferings will continue. So to help us transcend this and go to this internal potency, these principles have to be followed. And last time we discussed about the first two principles of Atyahar and Prayas. Some more discussion will be required on Atyahar because, as I discussed last time, Srila Prabhupada is not discussing these principles only from personal application point of view, but he also takes this principle to theological level, to the level where if we apply these principles in society, how society can be very peaceful and happy. So that discussion he has taken in the end of this chapter. So we will see if time permits, we will complete that discussion today. But right now, we would like to begin discussion of the next principle. So Atyahar is done, Prayas is done, and then comes Prajalpa. Sri Prabhupada writes, another impediment is Prajalpa, unnecessary talking. When we mix with new friends, with a few friends, we immediately begin unnecessary talking, sounding just like croaking toads. If we must talk, we should talk about the Krishna consciousness movement. Those outside of the Krishna consciousness movement are interested in reading heaps of newspapers, magazines, and novels, solving crossword puzzles, and doing many other nonsensical things. In this fashion, people simply waste their valuable time and energy. In the Western countries, old men retired from active life play cards, fish, watch television, and debate about useless socio political schemes. All these and other frivolous activities are included in the Prajalpa category. Intelligent persons interested in Krishna consciousness should never take part in such activities. Now, a thought may come that we already had long discussion on Vacho Vegam, where we discussed about useless talk. We had so many examples we discussed. I showed many verses, and this particular example of croaking of a frog also was discussed. So question may come, why again this Prajalpa factor has been included? Any guess? Anybody wants to make? It is very tough, but still, in case you want to try.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So in a Vachovegam, we discussed not only talking but eating as well.
No, that
And
was Jiva Vegam. Eating was Jiva Vegam. Vachakam was only about activity of speech. And again, another principle has been introduced, that is Prajalpa, which is again about the speech. So why again this repetition? Like previous principle we saw Atyahar and there was Udaravegam. So what is the difference in Udaravegam and Atyahar? Udaravegam was just about overeating, but Atyahar is not limited to eating. It is also over accumulation of mundane things, material things, which are not so necessary, not so required. Now, again, Vachuvegam, and now here Prajalpa has come. So this question comes many times, that why again same discussion, or we can just play the same recording and complete the syllabus and go ahead. Yes, Shyam Chandra.
This is not my answer. I'm saying on behalf of someone.
Okay.
So, Vachovegam, the idea is that we control our speech also in terms of not hurting anyone. That was one of the points that we discussed. Whereas when we talk about prajalpa, it is about talking about someone or nonsensical things not related to Krishna consciousness.
Okay, interesting. Thank you, Bhuvi. You're very, in one sense, yeah, yes, answer is correct. Yes, Akhileshwari Mataji.
So yeah, to that answer which Prabhuji has given, so it's like why we talk unnecessary so that we can demean someone, and then we can try to create some prajalpa, and then after that we can get some benefit. So it's like why unnecessary talking is we need to stop, but in order to means like create a for a prajalpa, it's like a higher level we are talking about.
Okay, interesting. Prajalpa is much higher level and Vachovigam is at a basic level. Thank you. Yes, Sri Sudarshan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes, we can hear.
I think Vacho Vegam is, I'm just guessing, Prabhuji. So Vacho Vegam is about, in general, how we speak and how we are talking, what is our tone, and like the tendency to just keep speaking or have opinions about anything and everything. So that is being controlled as per I understand. And Prajalpa is especially even after coming in the circle of pious people who are trying to go ahead in Krishna consciousness. Among them also this tendency is talking is there, but especially in the name of frustration also we can talk about so many nonsensical things. So that specifically this aspect when coming in the good people circle also we should be controlling this thing.
Okay, good. Thank you. On chat also, it is said, Sri Santapu says, text 1, Vachovegam is about controlled speech. Text 2 is about, even in controlled speech, what to speak and what not to speak. Is correct? When Sagar is studying about Rupa Goswami, is trying to emphasize the further on Jiva Goswami. Okay. And yeah, Saurabh has also caught the point. In the text 1, Vachovegam is with respect to control of the senses. And in text 2, it is with respect to control of activity. Yeah, so see this, yes, Suyesh bro.
So yeah, I feel like Vachovegan, it's more like speaking, but Prajalpa it's not just speaking, but it involves activities also, like watching movies or reading newspapers. So,
Okay.
so you can
Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Interesting. Correct. So yes, last one more thing. Yes, Akshay, sure, go on. Approach, you have to unmute. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Haribol?
Yes, please.
Can you? Vachovegam is basically urge to speak. And Prajalpa is speaking the right thing.
Speaking the right thing. Correct. Correct. So most of you are coming close to this answer only. So Vachovegam is more about controlling the urge to speak at that moment, which is very important for all kinds of transcendentalists. Be he a jnani, be he a yogi, dhyana yogi, any kind of transcendentalist, because we discussed these were the qualifications of a spiritual master. The first verse explains the qualification of a spiritual master. The one of the qualification. So for any transcendentalist, control of that urge to speak, urge to respond is important. But in the second text, it is more from the bhakti perspective of what should be the content of our speech. The content of speech is, yeah, the type of speech or the content of the speech. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Bhaktyalok, he explains this as the conditional rule and constitutional rule. Interesting words he has used. For the first verse, he says the rules are conditional rule. In a certain condition is created around you, and there is certain rule that has to be followed. In that particular condition, someone has agitated you. That time you need to, in that condition, you need to control your urge to respond to him. But in the second text, things are more about the constitutional rule. From the constitutional position of soul, what is beneficial, what is not beneficial, what should be the content of the speech. So that has been the emphasis there. So last time we discussed more about just the tendency to speak and blabbering and so many other things, but now we will discuss more about when we are going to speak, what kind of content we are speaking, and how that is going to destroy our bhakti if we are engaged in prajalpa. Now, prajalpa is itself not a negative word. Actually, it is a positive word. But in the connection, in this context where Bhaktivinoda Thakur has used it, it has got a negative connotation. Otherwise, if we go in scriptures in Srimad Bhagavatam and other places, this prajalpa is used many places. Even when the queens of Krishna are speaking with Krishna, that is called as prajalpa. Or when the devotees are conversing with each other, even that is called as prajalpa. So jalpan means engaging in conversation. Pra is prakrushta rupena. So it's a very involved conversation. So I'll just show one reference to back this up. Now this is in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, text 47. Sorry, chapter 47, text 21. This appears, this is in Brahmara Geet. Srimati Radharani is speaking. She says, "O Uddhava, it is indeed regrettable that Krishna resides in Mathura. Does he remember his father's household affairs and his friends, the cowherd boys? O great soul, does he ever talk about us, his maidservants? When will he lay on our heads his aguru scented hand?" And Radharani goes on speaking with this bumblebee, and so many things she speaks. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the feelings of Radharani, the Acharyas further explained that the present text displays the speech called Sujalpa, as described by Rupa Goswami. So sometimes she is indirectly criticizing Krishna by speaking to this bee, bumblebee. So that is here called as Sujalpa. And then Acharyas go on describing various kinds of jalpas. So there are 10 types which are mentioned. The Chitrajalpa has 10 divisions known as, increase the font size, Prajalpa, Parijalpa, Vijalpa, Ujjalpa, Sanjalpa, Avajalpa, Abhijalpa, Ajalpa, Pratijalpa, and Sujalpa. So, see, Rupa Goswami has gone so deep into this rasa. And for each of these 10, he has cited references. Oh, this talk of Radharani in this particular context is Prajalpa. This talk of this gopi in that context is Parijalpa. This is Vijalpa. This is Ujjalpa, Sanjalpa. The Sanjalpa word comes in first canto when Krishna is entering Dwarka. It is described Anyonya Asita Sanjalpa. The queens are discussing with each other about the glories of Krishna. That is Sanjalpa. So with a particular emotion, with a particular context, with a particular intention, when you do, it is a different kind of speech. So that way, this prajalpa is not a negative thing in itself. But when Bhaktivinoda Thakur has used it in this particular context, he says uh, useless talk. That is a simple explanation he gives, which is not favorable to one's bhakti. That should be avoided. Okay. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, I'll just take his definition first, and then we will go to Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Prabhupada, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur has also elaborately explained this. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that Jnani is their false display of scholarship on the basis of scriptural wrangling. That is Prajalpa. So when a Jnani, he's just displaying his scholarship by speaking so many things to establish monism or impersonalism. He said that is Prajalpa. Or a fruitive karmi, when his flowery expressions of attachment for mundane rituals are expressed. In a very nice language, he may be expressing, but these are all mundane attachments for mundane rituals, for some heavenly benefits and other things that he's going to get. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that is also Prajalpa. And for those people who are sense gratifiers, their blabberous statements pertaining to sense gratification because of their non-devotional or anti-devotional desires, that is also Prajalpa. So now we don't have to get into detailed discussion of Jnani's Prajalpa or Karmakandi's Prajalpa, but we will have detailed discussion on what could be a Prajalpa for a Bhakta, because we all are accepted, we all have accepted this path of Bhakti, walking on this path of Bhakti. It is very important to understand what are those activities which can destroy my Bhakti Lata creeper. So Prajalpa can be Anukul and that can be Pratikul. Both. So Bhakti Anukul Prajalpa is favorable and Bhakti Pratikul Prajalpa is to be avoided. So what Radharani is having or what other devotees are having, they are discussing with other devotees, that is Bhakti Anukul Prajalpa. That is required. But what is Bhakti Pratikul Prajalpa? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says there are 8 types of Bhakti Pratikula Prajalpa, 8 types of speeches which are unfavorable for devotees. The first of that, he says, is useless talks. In Sanskrit, he calls it Vritha Galpa. Useless talks or Vritha Galpa. And he explains in Bhakti Alok that nowadays the world has become so godless that in general, any conversation you see of any person, it will be Prajalpa, because they are not going to speak about Krishna, they are not going to speak about spirituality. In general, the world has become so godless and so atheistic that in general, any conversation that people will have is not going to be centered around Krishna. That is categorized into useless talk. What is problem with useless talk? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if you do a useless talk, then you are not following the instructions that Lord Krishna has given in Bhagavad Gita. What is Krishna's instruction in Bhagavad Gita? Krishna says, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrata. He has told, please do my kirtan always, Satatam. He also says, Machitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. He says, Bodhayanta parasparam. Please share your realizations with each other. Kathayantascha mam nityam. Again, he says, always do my katha and derive satisfaction and pleasure in constantly reciting Krishna katha. tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So every time we are doing a useless mundane talk, we are not following Krishna's instruction. That's why it is bhakti pratikul prajalpa, and that has to be avoided by a sincere sadhaka. So a sadhaka, when he is reading newspaper, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says it is great loss. Obviously, all these rules again will become more specific when it comes to householders, the people in the renounced order of life. People in the renounced order of life, they don't have to have any understanding of the news around. But one who is householder, who is engaging with this world, is interacting with people, interacting with society, it is important that he has to have some basic understanding of what is happening around. For that sake, if one reads newspaper, that is not a problem. But if it derives taste in reading news, if he is taking some rasa in reading news, he says that is categorized into prajalpa, and that is pratikul to one's bhakti. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that, but if the newspaper is discussing about the activities of pure devotees, then you can read newspaper. The same way he says about reading novels. He said reading novels is also prajalpa, because useless talk. Useless talk means you are going against Krishna's instructions of Satatam Kiritadin Tomam. But he says if the novel is describing story of Puranjan Upakhyan, right? Upakhyan means novel. In Hindi, it's a Upakhyan. So, but if it is Puranjan Upakhyan, Puranjan is Upakhyan is one of the section in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, where Narad Muni, he wanted to enlighten Prachini Barishad, the king, who was very much attached to the Karmakanda sections of the scriptures. He was doing many rituals, mundane rituals, for getting some heavenly benefits, material benefits. To enlighten him, Narad Muni told him one allegorical story of a person named Puranjan. So he said, and that is very interesting story with a lot of twists and turns. So if that is a novel, he said, then you can read. That is Bhakti Anukula Prajalpa. Because ultimately that is going to enlighten you. Narad Muni, he was telling this story. It appeared like he's doing some prajalpa. He's showing, it's like he's telling some kid some mundane story. Oh, once upon a time there was a king, and there was a queen, and he was having a kingdom, and there was an attack on his kingdom. So initially Narad Muni goes on telling like this, but in the end he says, "You are that king. Nava Nava Dwara Pure Dehi." And that kingdom had 9 gates. So that kingdom is nothing but your body, which has 9 holes. And how you're trapped here, how Kala is going to attack you. And King Prachini Barishad, in first go, he doesn't understand the story. Then he tells Narad Muni, please tell me again and describe it, clarify. I'm not able to connect it. Narad Muni second time explains, and that causes such an enlightenment to Prachini Barishad that he quits his kingdom. He does not even wait for his sons to come back. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if that kind of upakhyan, that kind of novel you are going to read, then that is not pratikul to your bhakti. That is not unfavorable to your bhakti. So that is not a problem. Then he says, second category is logical wrangling. In Sanskrit, he calls it vitarka. So all the arguments of the followers of Nyaya and Vaisheshika are simply godless quarrels. They only waste one's mind's strength and increases one's restlessness. So all these jnanis, when they are presenting various logics to establish wrong conclusions, he says that is also prajalpa. In this section only, he discusses about arguments, but that we can also take it in one more category that Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes, that is Vadanuvad, the fifth category. But because Bhaktivinoda Thakur has mentioned that here, I'll describe it here itself in second category. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says actually, by default, when living entity is very pure, then in that purified state, his discretion is also very pure. And that discretion naturally flows towards the feet of the Supreme Lord. So, in the purified state, one's discretion is properly established. And by default, he will choose to render service to Krishna. But he says, if one engages in this kind of prajalpa of arguments, unnecessary debates, especially this logical wrangling of scriptures to establish wrong conclusions, impersonal conclusions of scriptures, then he says, when we discuss about this or argue about this, then one loses one's natural discretion and one by default will flow towards mundane activities. This shift occurs, or a shift becomes even more, I would say, reinforced when one engages in this prajalpa of vitarka. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says we should not unnecessarily argue about directions, about places, about mistakes, about illusions. So when you unnecessarily keep arguing about various directions, various places, various mistakes of people, like sometimes, as Prabhupada also mentions here, these old people are discussing about socio-political situations, and they say that, oh, this was a mistake of this party, that was a mistake of that governor, and this was a mistake of this cricketer. So unnecessary arguments and hours people go on doing these kind of things and arguing about various illusions, various mundane things, material things. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that makes our heart tough, and then we lose our natural discretion, which is supposed to flow towards the service of lotus feet of the Lord. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if one is accepting the Vedic Dashamula instructions and based on the Vedic understanding, he argues to establish right conclusions. He says, then one's mind does not become wicked. That is not prajal. So, when on the basis of scriptures, on the basis of Vedas, one discusses what is good, what is bad, and a lot of discussion, genuine discussions, then that is not counted as prajal. Then he says, generally, these arguments, they arise because of envy. Arguments mainly arise because of pride. Or arguments also happen because of lot of attachment to sense gratification or aversion to sense gratification. So when such people, they engage in such quarrels or debates, whether Vadanuvad or Vitarka, this both the categories, the second category or the fifth category, then they become further intoxicated. That's why one has to be very, very careful. Then he says, third category, that is gossiping about others, para charcha. Talking without reason about other people is extremely adverse to devotional service. Why do people talk about others? Any yes. Okay, Naveen process envy. Correct. There is deep judgments. Naveen process, that is a sense gratification. Interesting. When you talk about others, we can get free sense gratification. We just have to destroy reputation of that person and just show how I am a great soul. So that is a sense gratification to prove our supremacy of the self. Very correct. Or there is a rasa in such frivolous talks, Shamjan says, to prove our superiority. Yes. So with this intention, if you do pracharcha, then it is extremely detrimental to your spiritual advancement. So people who are very envious, their minds are always absorbed in thinking about others in negative sense and discussing about others. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says talking about others should be rejected in all respects. Now he says this is possible for someone who is in the renounced order of life. Obviously, now it's different. Now, in for people in the renounced order of life, they are only putting so many videos about so many other people. Paracharcha and so many things. But those days, maybe renounced order by, I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur is considering, because there was no sannyas that time. He's talking about Babajis, like Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who would not speak to anyone. He would go and sit in the places which were rejected public toilets. Even public had rejected those toilets. That's how dirty they were. And there he would go and sit and do his bhajan, because he understood that if I don't sit here, other people will come and do some paracharcha and do some prajalpa. So, Bhatin Thakur says that for a person renounced out of life, it may be possible. But how should a householder avoid paracharcha? And then he says, best is if householder has a Krishna conscious family. Then, in such a Krishna conscious family, when he's discussing about others, if the intention is not wrong, then discussing about others will not be a prajalpa. Because again, you are going to discuss something positive about serving someone, and they are also devotees. Your whole family is devotee. Then overall discussions will be devotional. That is a guideline that Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives. Yeah, best for him is to live in a Krishna conscious family. Then all his activities will be related to Krishna. Then even unavoidable talk about others will become sinless and a part of devotional service in relation to Krishna. Then fourth thing Bhaktivinoda Thakur says is para dosha anusandhana, finding faults in others. That is also a very dangerous prajalpa. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur says somebody may argue that we see Shukadeva Goswami also is finding faults with others. Correct? In Bhagavatam, in second canto, he says, Nidraya hriyate naktam vivayena cha vavaya divacharte haya rajan kutumba varaneva deha patrakratradeshu atmasenneshu satsopi tesham pramatva nidanam pashyanapi na pashyati. What is this materialistic people? They are working whole day. They are shedding their blood to fill their belly. And at night, they're just wasting their life by sleeping and doing sense enjoyment. So many times such kind of criticism will happen. And we see Srila Prabhupada also has been speaking about faults of other people. This sadhu is like this, that sadhu is like that, and so many things. Then does that become paradosha anusandhana? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says no. Now Bhaktivinoda Thakur is not writing in defense of Prabhupada because Prabhupada came later. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was earlier. But he explains the principle. What is the principle? He says, occasionally a guru has to enlighten his disciple on some topics where he has to speak someone's faults, because if he does not do that, the instruction may not become very clear. So to give him very clear understanding, sometimes, this is important, occasionally he has to do. Occasionally he has to do. And who has to do? A guru has to do. And to whom? To a disciple. Generally what happens? Okay, I speak to you. Am I guru? Are you my disciple? And am I doing occasionally? These first three things we have to check. So Prabhupada spoke, Shukadeva Goswami also spoke. But how many verses are there like this in Bhagavatam where Shukadeva Goswami is speaking others' negativities? Very less. Very less. Now, 99% of the talks that Shukadeva Goswami has done is direct pure Krishna Katha. And maybe 1% or 3%, maybe 4%, he has discussed about others' faults of materialistic people. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says that sometimes they can even pinpoint fault of a specific person. So the verse that I told about Nidraya Ariyate Naktam, that was in general criticism of materialistic people. But he says sometimes somebody may have to pinpoint a specific fault in a specific person. And for that, he gives example of Maitreya Muni speaking the faults of Vena. So Vena was son of who was his father? Vena was father of Prithu, but Anga was the father, right? Anga, right? Huh. So Anga's son was Vena, and Vena had really created a big havoc. So some teachers who are very expert on art of parenting, they take this section. Anga to Vena and Vena to Prithu. So how, although Anga was very good king, somehow he begot Vena as his child, who was very demoniac. And obviously from Vena, later on the sages churned out Prithu, who was Shaktavish avatar of the Lord. So here a specific person's fault is discussed. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur even gives a reference. This is 4th canto, 14th chapter, 29th verse. What he says? The great sage Maitreya continued, thus the king who became unintelligent due to his sinful life and deviation from the right path became actually bereft of all good fortune. He could not accept the requests of the great sages, which the sages put forth before him with great respect, and therefore he was condemned. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says sometimes this also has to be done. Like Prabhupada also specifically pointed faults of some specific person, someone who was cheating people. He says this also can be done, but a very important criteria he says here is, if the talks about others is not influenced by devotional impediments like envy, hatred, pride, or wanting distinction, then it is okay. But if you are finding faults with others is influenced by envy, by hatred, by pride, and by wanting distinction, then you are offending the feet of Bhakti Devi. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. You're directly offending the feet of Bhakti Devi by finding faults of others. Sometimes a manager has to do this, or some authority has to do this, but he should do it very carefully. He should do it privately. He should do it with the purpose of helping that person. He should do it with a very prayerful mood. So I've seen some great souls when they have to tell some faults of some other person, uh, they actually are very, very prayerful. That may I not do this out of envy. May I not do this out of hatred or pride in my heart. They do it very carefully. They also tell some good things about that person. Not that you only speak faults, because that is one thing that happens when we are speaking about others' faults. We hardly speak something good about that person. So they also speak good about that person. They see the potential of that person. And then they say, yeah, this is one of the things that he's struggling with. Let us hate the disease, not the diseased. Let us hate the disease, but love the diseased. Let us hate the sin, but love the sinner. So in that consciousness, very carefully and very privately one has to do. Not that one makes a video and sends it on the YouTube and jai, no. I am doing it to protect all the people from these people. No, that is not required. That is very, very, very dangerous in spiritual advancement. What will happen? That also will be pointed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Then he says fifth category is debates for winning over others. Vada. So to some extent, I already discussed this in the second category, that was Vitarka. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur further explains here that uh, debates arise only from desire to conquer others. And if that is the desire, then it is very, very dangerous. He says, interesting analogy. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that actually sometimes some people become little knowledgeable, but their attitude is not nice. That knowledge they have gained to conquer others. He says, then actually knowledge is supposed to remove ignorance. But here the very same little knowledge that he has acquired, but he has this tendency to conquer others, he gets into debate. This knowledge is going to become cause of his fall. And he gives example of owl. So for everyone, sun removes ignorance. But for an owl, sun creates further ignorance. Correct? You know this? Owls, they become kind of blind when there is sunlight. When there is no sunlight, they can see very clearly. As soon as sunlight comes, they become blind. So like that, if vada no vada, this debating tendency is there, then for them knowledge is like that sun and that person is like owl. The more knowledge they gain, more they fall in ignorance. Like that. Then he says, sixth category is speaking falsities. Mithya jalpana. Or we can say speaking lies. Now, can a devotee speak lie? How many of you have not spoken a single lie in last 1 week? Okay, some of you. Yes. Okay, Sri Sanjay says for a higher cause we can speak. Naveen Prabhu says it is if it is for the benefit of others, one can speak. Haridas Prabhu says for a higher purpose one can speak lies. Yes, Shyam Chandra.
As devotees, we tend to speak half truth rather
How
than lie.
like Yudhishthir Maharaj. He'll not speak full lie, he'll not speak full truth, half truth. Interesting. That's a good trick. Okay, transcendental morality. In business, we have to speak many a times. Yes, Saurabh. Uh, Prabhupada also says that a businessman, he cannot make any profit if he does not speak lie. He will come on streets. Only one businessman was there who did not speak any lies, and he could still maintain his life. Yes, Tarunima, who was he? You spoke it, that's what I'm asking. Yes, Kolavcha Sridhar. He was the only businessman, but he was practically on street. But if you want to maintain your life, I mean, he did not have wife, he did not have children. If you want to maintain, then we cannot be like that. So a businessman has to speak on lies. Okay, so there are gray zone lies. Satyam bruyat priyam bruyat. Correct? Uh, yeah. So now Mother Earth has already told. Okay, Nehemati says to save someone's life, we can speak lies, correct? So Mother Earth, I already mentioned that verse from Bari Maharaj section, how she says that I can bear any load. I can bear the weight of huge mountains. I can bear the weight of big oceans. But I cannot bear load of the liar on myself. So what is that actually? Uh, Again, in all these things, one has to be what is one's intent. If one is speaking lies for protecting his bhajan, then it is allowed. Or someone's is protecting someone's life, or some very crucial situation where it's really a very great cause. So we see Sanatana Goswami also spoke lies to whom? Sanatana Goswami spoke lies to
the Nawab, Prabhu.
the Nawab. Correct. What did he tell?
He said, I'm sick, but he was actually listening the Srimad Bhagavatam classes.
Yeah, he told I am on a sick leave. So this is one of the lie that we have to go for yatra, but for going to yatra, sometimes some of your relatives die for for you to go to yatra. Some students, they say, Guji, for this yatra, my grandmother passed away. For that yatra, my distant grandfather passed away. I mean, that's what they have to tell. Then only they get the leave. He said, now all my relatives have passed away. Now who should pass away? This time in yatra, they will not get leave. So somebody says, I'm sick, I'm on sick leave, I'm not well. So Sanatana Goswami also did that. He said that I'm not well, I cannot come to office. But was he actually sick? He was not sick. In one sense, yes, he may say that, oh, I am spiritually sick. But he was nicely doing Krishna Katha with so many Brahmanas there. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his point is, one can speak, but addiction to speaking lies is what Mother Earth cannot bear. See, sometimes we can use this tool of speaking lies, but what is the problem? That can become our second habit. Correct? How many of you agree? Once you speak lie, because that is the only pillar of dharma remaining in this Kali Yuga, correct? Out of the four pillars, the cow or bull, right? Bull has the four legs. The dharma, satya, daya, tapa, shaucha. And one yuga, one leg has been broken. Shaucha is gone, daya is gone, tapa is gone. Only leg that is remaining for Kali Yuga is satya. And that also, if you sometimes, rarely, it's okay. But one has to be very watchful that may this not become my second nature. Otherwise, for some people, every other statement is a lie. And that can come very much in devotional service also. So one has to be very careful that I don't become habituated to speaking lies. That should not become addicted to speaking lies. There was a sixth Prajalpa explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Mithya Jalpan. Seventh is Sadhu Ninda, criticizing the character of a sadhu. Now, sadhu here does not mean only a saffron person. Sadhu means a devotee, a Vaishnava. So, any person who has sincerely taken shelter of the path of bhakti and is doing sadhana, he has taken shelter of a sadhu, he is actually a sadhu. So, criticizing character of a sadhu is extremely dangerous, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. He says that actually, if one wants to attain devotion to Lord Hari, then he should make a vow. Amongst all the Prajalpa categories, only here he says that one should take a vow that in this life, I will never blaspheme a sadhu. And he says devotees are sadhu. So I will not blaspheme any devotee. Why? What happens if you blaspheme a devotee? He gives a reference. He says that by blaspheming Lord Shiva, Daksha Prajapati, who was best of the ascetics, met with severe inauspiciousness just because of blaspheming Lord Shiva. And then he quotes Bhagavatam verse, Canto 10, chapter 4, text 46. Very horrifying verse. आयु श्रियं यशो धर्मं लोकानाशीष एव च हन्ति श्रेयांसि सर्वाणि पुंसो महत् अतिक्रमः. What happens when you blaspheme a sadhu? Ayuhu, your duration of life will reduce. Shriyam, your beauty will reduce. So one may be going to beauty parlor to increase his beauty, but if you do blasphemy of a sadhu, automatically your beauty. This is not just external beauty, but beauty of your character. No one will be attracted to you if you are criticizing a sadhu. Because actual purpose of beauty is to attract people. You can become really beautiful if you take this one vow in your life. That I will not blaspheme a sadhu. I will not blaspheme a devotee. Yashaha, your fame will also go away. Initially, you may become very famous in Kali Yuga. When you blaspheme some sadhu and put some video, you become very popular. Long run, you'll be forgotten. You will not be. But those people who have remained very genuine devotees of the Lord, he said they are the only famous people. As Ramananda Rai also tells to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is most famous person, a devotee of the Lord with right character. He is the most famous person. Then dharmam, once religion gets destroyed, lokan, elevation to higher planets also will get affected if one blasphemes. Ashishaha, what are blessings one has obtained from so many souls, great souls, that also goes away. All these things are destroyed when one does Mahat Atikrama, trespassing against a great personality. My dear king, when a man persecutes great souls, all his benedictions of longevity, beauty, fame, religion, blessings, and promotion to higher planets will be destroyed. So that is about sadhu ninda, the seventh type of prajalpa. If someone does sadhu ninda, he will not be able to perfect his chanting. Why? Why one will not be able to perfect one's chanting if one does sadhu ninda? Okay, Naveen proceeds because he will keep thinking about that during his chanting, correct? Mercy goes away. First offense, Aman Prabhu, correct. Because this is the first offense against chanting of the holy names, that is to blaspheme the devotees. If you blaspheme a devotee, that is the holy name is displeased. Why holy name is displeased when a devotee is blasphemed? होली name को प्रॉब्लम क्या है डिवोटी के blasphemy से? What is the problem? Holy name should be happy, na? I mean, it should not become happy, but holy name should be happy with its own thing. Let the devotees, whatever happening, let that be on one side. Let holy name be on the other side. What is the connection between these devotees and the holy name?
There is no difference between the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself. And Lord is displeased when he talking about any devotee.
Correct. This is one good connection, that holy name is not different than Lord, and Lord will be unhappy when his devotees are blasphemed. Correct. Sarpuru says they are dedicated their life for chanting. Krishna protects devotees. Without devotees, there is no bhakti. Yes, so Sarapuru, what he has told is very close. They have dedicated their life not just for chanting, but also for propagating. If you go very specific into the text of first offense, it says to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for
Propagating the holy
Propagating the holy
for
name.
propagating the holy names of the Lord. For propagating. So the sadhu or devotee has given his life for spreading the holy name. So holy name says, oh, they are my agents. They are trying to spread my glory. And you blaspheme them. How will I be happy with you? Correct? So anyone who has dedicated his life for preaching, anyone who has given his life for giving holy name to others, they are very, very dear to holy name. Because you are giving holy name to others. Holy name says, oh, my mercy is being given to others. And if you blaspheme that agent of mine, how will I be happy with you? I will not be happy. And if I am not happy, you will never do perfect chanting of the holy names. So this is how this first offense is described in Bhare Bhakti Vidas. He says, because sadhus are constantly glorifying the holy name and propagating the holy name, how can holy name tolerate offense against its own propagators? This Hari Bhakti Vilas 11.521. This is quoted by some devotees. Okay. And then the last one, the eighth one, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, is Gramya Katha. Engage in loose village talk. So he says worldly talk is completely rejected by renounced devotees. householders may accept some worldly talk which is favorable. If topics like archaeology, zoology, astrology, geography are devoid of God consciousness, then they should be rejected. Mhm. So again, this is quite similar, but Gramya Katha is like the loose village talk, Mhm. Which doesn't have anything to give and take with Krishna. And to explain this, Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes two verses from Bhagavatam. This is 12th canto, 12th chapter, text 49 and 50. Mhm. Very beautiful verses. Let's read this and then we'll come to the conclusion of this Prajalpa discussion. वृषागिरस्ता ह्यसतिरसत्कथा न कथ्यते यद् भगवानधोक्षजः तदेव सत्यं तदुहैव मङ्गलं तदेव पुण्यं भगवद्गुणोदयम्. Mrisha is false. Giras is words. So those words which asati asat katha. Asat katha is talks about temporary things. You, yeah, which is not eternal. Useless discussion of that which is not eternal. And asati is untrue. So when there are talks, untrue talks, and talks about temporary things, they are mrisha gira, false talks. Na kathyate yad bhagavan adokshachah. When they do not describe about the Lord who is adokshaja, then they are called mrisha giras. But the talks which are in connection with Krishna, what about that? This is tadeva satyam. That is the only truth. Taduhaiva mangalam. That is the only auspicious thing. Tadeva punyam. That is the only pious activity. What? Bhagavad gunodayam. The glorification of the qualities of the Lord. And then he says, Tadeva ramyam ruchiram navam navam. Tadeva shashvan manaso mahotsavam. Tadeva shokarnavashoshanam nrinam. Yaduttama shloka yashunu giyate. So when we do Uttama Shloka Yasha Anugiyate, when we glorify in Parampara the Uttama Shloka Lord, Tadeva Ramyam Ruchiram Namam Namam. That is only newer and newer pleasurable thing actually. Tadeva Shashvan Manaso Mahotsavam. That becomes a Manaso Mahotsav. Festival for your mind. When you discuss about Krishna. And Tadeva Shokar Namasoshanam Nrinam. So, as we have discussed earlier also, how when a living entity, out of shoka, he cries. Out of pain, when he cries, the tears will fill up ocean. That much sorrow is there in this world. Shoka Arnava. Arnava means ocean. So, when one has cried so much that by his tears, ocean has become filled, how to dry up that ocean? Now, ocean can never be dried up. But yes, here is one solution. That ocean can be dried up. Shoshanam, by doing yat uttama shloka yashunugiyate. When one does glorification or when one speaks anything that is glorifying Krishna or his name, his beautiful form, his transcendental qualities, his divine pastimes, or about his devotees, when one does this, then that will dry up the ocean of sorrow, of the suffering conditioned soul in this world. Okay. After describing this, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that Vachovegam will automatically become controlled when one avoids Prajalpa. So, by taking care of this Prajalpa, by taking care of the content of your speech, your urge to speak will become permanently regulated. Like that. And then last thing, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, element 28, 2. Little confusing verse, but very important. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has quoted this last thing and then he concluded that section on Prajalpa. This parasvabhava karmani yah prashamsati nindati sa ashu brashyate swarthat asati abhiniveshataha. Whoever indulges in praising or criticizing the qualities and behavior of others will quickly become deviated from his own best interest by his entanglement in illusory dualities. So one should never engage in criticizing or praising the qualities and behaviors of others. If one does this, he will quickly become deviated from his best interest by his engagement in illusory duality. Do you get any question when you hear the translation?
Yes, Prabhuji.
What is the question?
Glorifying, praising.
Yeah. So should we not glorify devotees? So Acharyas discuss here when it is said para swabhava karmani. This is about material things, materialistic people, criticizing them and glorifying them. Because someone may be glorifying a materialistic person out of envy. Oh, you have such a big house. Oh, you have got such a big car. Oh, you have got such a big job. Oh, you have so much bank balance. Or you have so many opulences with you. So when one is praising this, one will also aspire for this. Because one is also doing out of envy. And that's why Bhakti Thakur says that such praising and criticizing is entanglement in illusory duality. If it was glorification and criticism of devotees, then there would not be this word illusory duality. This duality is only the material aspects, material world. So that's why Acharya say that this instruction of Srimad Bhagavatam is about unnecessary glorification of non-devotees, either in their presence or in their absence. Especially in their absence, when you glorify, oh, that person is so great, who is so powerful, he's so successful. So one should avoid this thing because two reasons. It is out of envy, and one will also aspire for these things. And that can lead to destruction of his bhakti lata krikar. Like that. So the essence is not to become silent, but the essence is not to take taste in these things. That is the main thing. Don't sometimes we have to do these things, but one should not be deriving rasa. You should not be deriving pleasure. One should do it very carefully, very prayerfully, even if one has to speak these kind of things. So in Vachovegam section, I had mentioned that Mahabharata also speaks about what is right speech. So there I made one mistake, which I want to correct now. I told that the truthful has been placed above the pleasing, but when I checked it, so this is in conversation between Maharaj Yudhishthir and Bhishma Pitamaha. When Bhishma Pitamaha is giving him instructions about Raj Dharma, there Bhishma Pitamaha explains what is the right speech. He's giving the hierarchy for our analysis. He says the best speech is speech about the Lord. Next is a speech that is pleasing. Next is truthful. Next is useless, and then he says blasphemous. So the last two things, the useless speech and blasphemous, that is prajalpa. And interestingly, Bhishma Pitama has kept pleasing above truthful. Whereas Krishna in Gita, he says, what is that? Satyam priyahitam chayat. First he keeps satyam, and then he says priyam. But in any case, one has to be very careful, even if one has to either you're speaking truthful or non-truthfully, or pleasing, non-pleasing. The goal is right intentions, and goal is not to get addicted to these kind of things, or some concessions are given. I should not take wrong advantage of these things, and try to spiritualize one's speaking as much as possible, like that. So when amongst all these 8 types, one thing that troubles the devotees most is speaking about others, blaspheming others, spreading rumors about others. But as devotees, we should understand, speaking about others is not going to benefit anyone actually. It won't benefit that person about whom we are speaking. It won't benefit the person to whom you are speaking. And it's not going to benefit the person who is speaking, you yourself. No one is going to get benefited, then why to speak about it? Once it happened that one of the sannyasi disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he had a fall down, and he couriered his danda, sannyas danda, back to Prabhupada. Courier se aaya. So when danda came back to Prabhupada, devotees started speaking about it. Hey, what a fall down! He has couriered back his danda to Prabhupada. And specifically, one devotee was, very much speaking about it. He spread it very much in the community. And devotees described that Prabhupada was more unhappy with that devotee than this sannyasi who had a fall down. Prabhupada was more unhappy with the devotee who was spreading this news than that sannyasi who couriered back his danda. Because Prabhupada said that now you have made it very difficult for that sannyasi to come back to us. With what face will he come? Because whole community is talking ill about him. So many times you will see acharyas, they show by their behavior that they hate criticism more than fall down. One may have a fall down, that is not a problem. But if you're criticizing the person who has fallen, that is more painful to the acharyas. So ISKCON is, once Chaitanya Charan was telling about this, he said that ISKCON is desire tree. We have this website, ISKCON Desire Tree. And what is a desire tree? Desire tree means whatever you desire, you will get it there. Kalpataru. Vancha kalpataru bhyascha. Kalpataru is desireful tree. He said ISKCON is a desire tree. Whatever you desire, you will get here. And you will get in unlimited quantity. Because desire tree. He said if you want prestige here, you will get an unimaginable prestige in this society. If you want respect, he said, even senior devotees, even sannyasis will bow down to you when you do Vancha Kalpataru Bhyascha. You said there is no dearth of respect if one wants that. He said if one wants money, and it's gone. He said you can do such fund collection that you cannot even imagine. If you want to eat, he said you get so many varieties and so much food will be available. It's a desire tree. Whatever you want, all your desires will be fulfilled. And he says if you want some news, he said you'll get more news in ISKCON than all the news available in the material world. He said it's up to you. What do you want? Everything is there. It's a desire tree. Everything is available. All kinds of controversies are there. All kinds of fall downs are there. Everything is available. But what do you want? If you want Krishna Katha, my Lord, no, you won't get Krishna Katha like ISKCON anywhere. The way some acharyas commentaries are discussed, and the depth which even the rasa tattva, the writings of Rupa Goswami, especially Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is referred by the acharyas or preachers of many other sampradayas. I have come across some people from other sampradaya who say, "Oh, can you please get me Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu or Rupa Goswami?" No one has understood Bhakti Rasa as what he understood till date. And no one has described Bhakti so nicely as what Rupa Goswami has done. So if one wants to know Bhakti, then also ISKCON is ISKCON Desire. You won't get uh, anything better than this anywhere else. But it all depends now up to you. What do you want? What are you looking for? So we have to be very, very careful. We are dealing with a desire tree. Everything is there. Let us be very careful with our intentions, uh, with our motivations. If we are not careful, very easily we will get swept away. Mm. That's why you see so many people, frustrated in ISKCON like anything. And they feel that the most frustration that we have ever experienced in our life is when we came to ISKCON. You agree with this? There's so many people who say the most painful experiences we have got in our life is in ISKCON only, nowhere else. Because it's a desire tree. सब कुछ मिलेगा आपको यहाँ पे. So it's up to us. What do I look for? Also, we have to understand that even if there is so much blasphemy happening, how does that affect my bhakti? Because when I'm practicing Krishna consciousness, it is working on me, it is purifying me. Then why I not continue that? Why I should get so much affected by what is happening around? Because what is happening around and my own practice, there is no connection. So something may be happening at top level. Again, I don't have anything to give and take with that top level person unless it actually happens in my own temple or my own community. It is happening in some other temple, some other community. I can anyways continue to practice my bhakti because uh, I mean my bhakti is unaffected, no? So why should I worry so much about other things like that? So a sadhak has to be very, very watchful. Mhm. So let me practice bhakti nicely and let me help others also practice bhakti nicely. So, because if we do prajalpa, it saps away our spiritual energy. What is spiritual energy? Enthusiasm to practice Krishna consciousness. This enthusiasm to practice Krishna consciousness will be taken away if you engage in this prajalpa. So, as long as we are in this material world, there will be difficulties. There will be problems. Do not be surprised, Prabhupada said, to see who is falling. Be surprised by seeing those people who have stayed back. So recently, there was an initiation ceremony in Godaniko village, and His Holiness Radhanath Singh Maharaj was explaining. He says, Kaler dosha nidhe rajan. Kali Yuga is ocean of faults. And he said that, now don't imagine that ocean as some ocean on the map, some Google map. Okay. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan. In Kali Yuga, there is one ocean. And there are a lot of faults there. He says, no, we are in that ocean. We are in that ocean, and when you are in that ocean, what do you see around? Only water. He says that is what is Kali Yuga. Kalir dosha nidhi rajan. Everywhere around is only fault. But asti eko mahan guna kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. Although we are so much surrounded by faults, there is nothing other than faults in this world. But if one is sincere, then this is the easiest process available compared to all the yugas and all the previous cycles of previous yugas. The most simple, most easy process, Kirtana Deva Krishnasya, Mukta Sangha Param Rajat. To attain the highest ever destination possible, one can do that by sincerely practicing Krishna consciousness. So this world is also like an epidemic. Lockdown, we have all seen anyone can get affected by infection. It's not that, oh, because he was a very expert doctor who has cured many COVID patients, will he not fall sick? He can also fall sick. Virus can catch anyone. So same way in whether he's a compounder or whether he's the most experienced surgeon, anyone can get infected. Same in our movement also, whether it's a new bhakta or some very big spiritual master. Anyone can get affected. One should not be very much disturbed because we are living in an epidemic. But we should have full faith that the process is very powerful. it has worked upon me. Let me continue to work upon the process. And to the degree we follow this process properly, avoiding prajalpa, we will make proper progress in our Krishna consciousness. So we have to find out what are the subject matters which are nourishing me. And we also had to find out who are those people who speak those subject matters which nourish me and take their association. And completely avoid association of people who speak subject matters which do not nourish you, which destroy your bhakti lita bridge. Even if you happen to hear something, it's best to not speak about it to someone else. But one can go to one's authority, one can go to one's spiritual master, one can go to one's counselor, inquire from them, get proper understanding, and save oneself from this prajalpa. Otherwise, this prajalpa is going to 100% destroy one's bhakti lata kripa. That's what Bhakti Thakur says. So we are actually extremely fortunate that we have got human form of life. In that, somehow by some inconceivable grace, we have got Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lita Bilch. After wandering through so many species of life, finally we got human form. In that human form, we got Vaishnava Sangha, we got Vaishnava Guru, and it's like such a rare, such a fortunate position. But now, if we are not careful, we may lose this. That's why we are studying this letter of instruction. Upadeshamrit, Bhakti Thakur is cautioning us that avoid these 6 things, otherwise, Shadbir Bhakti Pranashyati or Vinashyati. One's bhakti will get destroyed if one is not careful. So we'll stop here. I don't have much time today for question answer because I'm in Radha Kunjvera temple today. Radha Shambhara has come for Bhagavatam class. I'll have to leave. In case somebody has any pressing question, then they may ask. Otherwise, we'll stop. So, Akileshwari Mata has written something. Most of the things these people have is also gifted by Krishna as opulence. So telling this is good, it's not. Yeah, so actually we can glorify them, we can appreciate them. As you are saying, it can be seen as Krishna's vibhuti. And Prabhupada Saraswati also gives that formula. Dante Trinaya Nidakam Padayo Nipatya. Prabhupada says that, hold a straw between your teeth and go to these people, fall at their feet, and you say, "Oh, sir, you are a very intelligent man." Because that will open his heart and appreciate him. And then he says, "Yes, thank you for appreciating me. Please tell me, what should I do?" And then Prabhupada Saraswati requests, हे साधव सकल एव विहाय दूरान chaitanya chanda charane karutanurag. Says, "Oh my dear intelligent person, please give up all the nonsense that you are doing and accept the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya." So if you want to help those people open their heart, for that sake we can appreciate. Or if we are able to see that as Krishna's vibhuti, yad yad vibhuti mat sarvam Srimad urjitam eva tat tat devavagachatvam mama tejomsha sambhavam, then we can appreciate them. But the main point is it should not be done out of uh, envy or getting like allured by that. Oh wow! So with that goal, one should not be speaking that praise. Then it is prajalpa. But if you speak appreciation and to help them progress in bhakti, then it is fine. Then that is the intention.
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
You want this verse of
Yeah.
Prabhupada Saraswati?
Both the verses, yes.
Okay, I'll share these verses with you. Okay. Okay, then we'll stop. Thank you all for joining. श्री उपदेशामृत की जय, श्री रूप गोस्वामी पाद की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल।